Hey everyone, it's Paulie at Latino Slant. I'm joined with Tom,
Hello. How's everybody doing?
leading man actor extraordinaire Matthew Lillard. Hey,
No, holla.
Because you guys started pretty young. But I think the one that stuck out first for everybody is your character in Hackers, because it's become a huge cult favorite. Can you kind of tell us how that came about, or what that experience was like, real quick?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's very generous to say I have a bunch of iconic characters. I don't know if Hackers is one of them, but
It's a
I
cult
certainly
classic,
appreciate
man.
it.
Trust me.
It is. Well, I mean,
it is.
it's funny that movie came out, and I don't think it was very successful
No,
when it
yeah,
came
not
out.
really at first,
And then
but
all of a sudden, it like found its way, and it became this sort of this moment in time that sort of captured the '90s and the birth of the internet, really. And
absolutely.
so now I'll never forget. It was like 8 years, no, maybe like 10 years ago. I walked into an Apple store, and all of a sudden, like you see all these kids whispering, and they're like, "I'm like, oh yeah, it's Scooby Doo or Scream or something,"
Nope.
and they're like, "Dude, you're a serial killer." I'm like,
Exactly, man. That's what I'm saying.
so
Did you
yeah,
do-
but it's
Did you
funny
do that
that
smile, Matthew? Did you actually react like
I
that?
was like, why would anyone care? And now it's like, now it's huge. It's like one of the more popular films I've ever done. I mean, if I go to Seattle, forget about it. I mean, I'm as famous as I've ever been anywhere in the world in Seattle for that movie. But look, it was a very funny. That specific part. Interestingly enough, was a thing where I was brought in to be the reader for the female leads. So the casting director, you need somebody to read the lines across from them.
Yeah.
And so I was the reader for 2 days, and at the end of the 2 days, the director Ian Softly, who is lovely, I'm actually going to talk to him tomorrow for the first time in a couple of years, said, "I want to fly you to California to test for the lead of the movie." And when they figured out that I'm not nearly as cute as Johnny Lee Miller, I got the second best role, I think, in the part.
Well, you
So
steal the show. That's the thing is, and whenever you come on screen, you totally like steal every show you're in. Like that's
you're
and,
very
and,
sweet.
and speaking of, and not to jump too far ahead,
Yeah.
but like, come on. I mean, in Scream, wow. I mean, you are the standout character in that. You have the best lines. Even Paulie can tell you. I'll quote lines of yours here and there, like "My mom and dad are gonna be so mad." It becomes at least
Yeah, it was great. I mean, that was just an audition, and it was an opportunity for I mean, it was a movie that came out of nowhere. It's a bunch
right.
of kids that were sort of young and dumb and full of like ignorance because we were didn't it was Wes Craven hadn't done a movie in a while that was great. I mean, obviously he'd done the Nightmare series and was iconic, but hadn't done a really great horror movie that had found success in a while. And so all of a sudden, this horror movie comes across your desk. You're like, well, yeah, you're a young actor. Anything that you can get a hold of, you'll do for the most part. And we went up and did it, and I don't think there's anyone on that cast or crew that could have predicted what happened next.
Right.
And it's sort of like the great thing about that movie. I think that all of us have a very sort of special feeling about the film because we were so innocent and we were so surprised at its success. And that, I think that the next films, spoiler alert, I get killed in the first one, which is the worst thing ever to happen in any movie. To die in the first of like 5, but
right.
the the movie goes on, and as the franchise continues, it never sort of captured that innocence again because it was this franchise that had a lot of value and was worth a lot of money, and so all of a sudden people paid attention to it in a much different way. And so I think that
we got to ask you about one of your most prolific characters, of course, Shaggy. I mean, everybody wants to know. How does it feel to be the carrier of such an iconic character all these years? I mean, and you still are in a lot of ways that character. And I mean, if there was ever any inspired casting that ever came out of the history of going from cartoon to live action, it had to be you.
It's been a huge part of my life now. I mean, my oldest daughter was born on the day it came out, so that was 18 years ago.
Wow.
Almost 19 years now.
That's
and
great.
Look, it's great. Look, I am somebody that holds that spot for somebody else to come along. I mean, Will Forte just did the animated version of the film, a placeholder on holding up a piece of history. You know, Casey Kasem was the original voice of Shaggy, and I loved Casey, and he was a dear man, and held that voice and that character in, you know, in a way that he respected the character and carried it for 50 years. So I'm not 50, he did it for 45 something. And then, so when it was time for somebody else to step in, I said after the movie that I would love to be considered for the part. And, I was lucky enough that they asked me to do the voice. So I've done it now for like the last 14 years or so. And
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Look, it's somebody will be the voice of Scooby or Shaggy after me, and they will continue. So it's my job to sort of, honor Casey and honor the work he did, and sort of keep that voice and that character as pure as I can for as long as I can.
My personal favorite is
go ahead, please.
Matt and the Descendants. So
there you go. That wasn't really my question. It was more of me giving props to such a wonderful performance. That reminded me how just how versatile you are, man. I was like, damn. Congrats on that on that one. And
you adapt or die. I mean, if you're not as good looking as one of the Helmsworths, you better be able to adapt. And I was never that good looking, so I better be able to, to bring my shit to the job. I mean, my job was to be as great as I can. I can be with whatever lines I get. So, look, I think that you go back and watch a lot of my early films or a lot of my early work, and you're like, I was a spazzy kid bouncing off walls and chewing scenery, and now I get to do more. I mean, Descendants is a great movie. I don't have a lot to do in that movie, but that movie's incredible. But there are other things that, I mean, The Bridge, we're talking about, of The Bridge was an unbelievable achievement for FX. It was, Spanish and English. And, the sort of work we did there, the sort of work I did there is the work I'm so proud of. It's you have to step on the shoulders of great men and women to rise up, right? You don't just do it by yourself. And so I think that when you look at great artists who are tearing, who have spent their careers tearing away the walls and you don't even see them, every single time you're stepping on those shoulders to look over them. Artists are giants, and that's where the world changes.
Great answer.
And he's a giant.
I love it. Yeah, you just answered it, Matt. I mean, Oliver, you could speak on that, but I know we have to wrap it up.
I mean, the theater's a great place. The theater belongs to us. I'm not one of those sort of egghead or, nose in the air kind of artists. It's our theater. It's ours to do with it what we will. It reflects our moment. It shows us who we really are. And that's why we ought to go to it.
We just want to thank you both so very much. And it's been a huge honor. Like, really, you have no idea. I mean, like, all my friends are jealous right now that I'm talking to Matthew Lillard. So.
What a gift. What a gift. Well, thanks, guys.
Gentlemen, muchísimas gracias. Good luck with all your projects, right in front of you and those ones in the future. Be well, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Amen.